Hi guys, Miss McGovern. I'm sorry I can't be there today to work on your procedures with you, but I told Miss Davidson I would make this video and kind of go back over the directions and do an example of how to list your materials that you'll need and your procedure that you'll need as well. So today you are going to need both your new experiment data sheet that you started with your group yesterday. So you'll need that to write on. And you'll also need the one that we started a few days ago when we did our first hand washing experiment, because it's going to give you a nice example of a procedure that's already written. So if we think back to yesterday, you did two things with your group. You wrote your question that you are going to ask and test, and you also wrote your hypothesis or your prediction. So these, I think, are some of the questions, the 4 questions that the different groups represent. So make sure that you all have the same question written down for what you're testing. And we have a group that is testing for different amounts of time. We have a group that is testing with cold water versus warm water. We have a group that's going to test which soap is the most effective, either liquid or antibacterial hand soap. And then we have a group that's going to see if hand sanitizer actually removes germs better. So make sure that right now you guys all have that same question written down. And then if you haven't made a prediction yet as a group, you're going to make sure that you guys do that as well. But don't do that right this minute. So I'm going to go ahead and move us forward here to the next part of what you're going to be working on today. So remember, when we're working in the design process, we are doing this cycle. So we've already asked the question, we've made our predictions. Now we're going to be getting ready to investigate. Before we start investigating, we have to know what procedure we're going to have to carry out our investigation and what materials we're going to need. So today, you and your team are going to be looking at the new question that you want to investigate and using the scientific method to answer your question. You're first going to write the following sections of your scientific method. It says in your science journal, but you're actually going to do it right on here. So you're just going to kind of look back through here, and right after it says predict, number 3 here, investigate, go ahead and read that to yourself. It says, list any materials, underline materials, that you need to perform your experiment. So when you're done watching this video, the next thing you're going to do is go back to your group and you are going to list out the materials that you will need. So for example, if I am doing the experiment where I'm comparing liquid hand soap and the antibacterial foam soap, I'm going to need to write, I will need liquid hand soap, antibacterial hand soap, I'll need a sink. So make sure you list any and all materials that you will need. Some of you, it might just be a sink. If you're doing something with time, you probably need an iPad or some way to time it. So make sure that you're listing all the materials that you're going to need to carry out your experiment. All right? The fourth thing we're going to do is we've got to actually figure out how we're going to carry this out. It's going to be really important that we write out our steps just like we had here when we did our experiment a few days ago. Remember when we read the experiment steps? This is how we knew what we were going to have to do next to keep us on track. So that's what you're going to be doing with your group today. So we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to do a quick practice for you here, right here on the screen. So if I'm listing materials needed, we kind of just talked about that a second ago. I might need liquid hand soap. I might need foam soap. Oops, sopa. I'm going to need a sink. Maybe I need a timer. So that's just an example, but you're going to list your materials right there on your page. Okay? Now, procedure. Every time a scientist goes to carry out an experiment, They have to be super detailed in their procedure. I want you to turn to your partner and talk about why would a scientist need to be super detailed in his or her procedure for carrying out an experiment they're testing. Take 30 seconds. Take a couple more seconds, finish up your thoughts. All right, bring it back. All right, so hopefully you and your partner talked about it being important so that a scientist knows what to do first, what to do second, what to do third. Sequence, right? You guys are learning about this. You're talking about this right now in reading, sequencing of events or sequencing of steps or the order for something. This is called technical writing. So you're doing some writing here together. So let me show you an example of how you might do this. Again, this is going to happen on the next page where it says, number 4, write the step-by-step procedure you will follow for your experiment. So for example, I'm even going to write the words step 1. The first step is we have to create the effect of germs, right? So my very first step, and probably everybody's first step, is going to be to place 1, not 3, 1 drop of Glitterbug Potion on the palm of your hand and rub hands together, making sure to cover hands. Okay, now not everyone is necessarily going to put the Glitterbug Potion on their hands. So it might be one person doing it one time and then maybe it's another person for the second round. So just make sure that not everyone is putting on Glitterbug Potion. And you need 1 drop to cover your hands. If you do too much, it's going to get all over and it's going to just be too much and too much to get off. So just 1 drop to simulate those germs. So what's the next thing I'm going to write? Step 2. So based on whatever it is that experiment you're trying to, oh, actually, wait, your step 2 will probably also look the same because what do you have to do to make sure that your hands are covered? Use the UV light. So view hands using UV light and record what they look like before experiment. So remember I told you, you can record by writing out what you see. There's a place to record your notes. You might record by taking a picture with the iPad. Make sure it's a nice clear picture. You might record by drawing because again, there are hands that you can use again just like we did in the first one. So you and your team decide how are you going to record that and include that in your procedure and make sure you know who's going to do that. So step 3, this is where it's going to vary a little bit. Now is when you're going to write, how are you washing your hands? Wash hands with foam soap for 1 minute under warm water, or whatever it is that you're testing first. You'll also want to include in your procedure a step for drying your hands, okay? Other than that, your procedure is going to look a little different from group to group. It's just really important that you talk through the steps. Think through all the things that you have to do. That's what good scientists do. They talk through it, they read through it, they go back and they make changes. You have the whole day today to work on your procedure as soon as I'm done talking in just a minute. Okay, so really work on making sure it's very clear what you're doing. First, second, third, fourth, however many you need. Okay, you also have a chance on your sheet here where it says number 5 to record a rating scale. So just like we used here, and you can even use the same rating scale that was in the first experiment we did, and you can use that same scale or come up with your own 0 to 4 scale, okay? If you don't get to that today, that's all right. As long as you get your procedure and your materials done today, that's awesome, okay? That means we're off to a good start. And then tomorrow, hopefully, we'll be ready to approve them, or Monday, we'll be ready to approve them and get started for experimenting Monday and Tuesday. And I'll be back Tuesday to jump in there with you, and then we'll talk about how we're going to share our results. So I'm super excited to see these projects. You guys are going to do awesome. Work hard. Goal today is to get your materials listed and your procedure. Remember, you're a team, so listen to each other, give everybody a chance to talk, and ask if you have questions. Okay, Miss Davidson's there. She's going to rock it out with you. Write down questions as you have them, or post them into Seesaw, and I can always get that from Miss Davidson. All right, guys, I'll see you when I get back. Have a great day. Go Buffaloes.